Hello my people on YouTube. So this is something that I was working on yesterday, and as you can see it's somewhat of a textured, kind of more of a graphic skull. And in my last two videos I kind of asked y'all what is it that y'all would like me to do, and somebody in the comments asked for a step-by-step tutorial. I'll make it clear right away. I'm not a teacher, but with that being said, I will try my best to walk you through exactly what is it that I do when I use Adobe Fresco. So with this one, what I did was I started out with, let me show you the starting image. Just gonna hide all these layers for now. And what I started with was a rough sketch, and I started with drawing just a rough pencil sketch, the eyes, the nose, and the teeth and the jaw and everything. And basically what I did in the beginning was it was just basic shapes, and as I went along I refined those shapes to get kind of like a structure what I wanted. And what I showed you in the beginning was the skulls. Let me show you that again. Turn off this layer, turn this layer back on. So the goal is for this video is I'm gonna try my best to walk you through a step-by-step, and we'll go from there. So see you in a few minutes and I'll show you what I do to get set up. Okay people, let's begin. And I'm gonna open up Adobe Fresco for this. Obviously the canvas size that I chose is going to be 2000 by 2000, and I chose the square canvas because it's much more easier to maneuver when you're drawing and it doesn't make it skip or anything. And then the other thing what I always check to make sure before I start any drawing is I always keep the PPI on this to 300, which is print resolution, and it's the same, it's an interchangeable thing even for raster graphics. It's the same 300, and basically what that is you want to make sure that when you print your stuff out that it doesn't have that jagged look to it. So maybe we'll talk about more about this in another video, and I'll show it to you all with examples. So to begin with, let me go ahead and select the pixel brush and we'll start with our drawing. So the skeleton or the skull that I just showed you before this was a front facing one, and for this one it's going to be a side profile. So let's begin with basically the shape. This part is just pretty much as loose as you can be, and you just want to get a basic shape or the idea of the basic shape of the skull. So that's going to be the head part, and we're gonna do maybe like a rectangular shape for the lower part, which is going to be the nose area and the bottom jaw. And then we'll bring this out a little bit so I can do the side profile and the nose area and all that. So pretty much this part of the starting point is just to get your rough shapes in it. There's nothing, you're just trying to decide what is it you want the shape to look like, whether it be a square, or you could try a triangle. And then I'll bring this down a little bit. The best part about this rough part of the sketch is you can tweak it as much as you want. I learned this technique from watching another YouTuber who has a YouTube channel called Drawing Sessions, and this guy used to be, or I don't know if he still is a character designer, and he has some nice creature art that he draws. It's kind of really soothing just to watch him draw. Okay, so now we've got the basic shape of the side of the skull. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the mouth area. So for that I'm going to just make a straight line. Well, not really straight, a couple of lines. And then because our mouth is kind of like a little bit of, it's curved, so if you were looking at it straight on, you would see the teeth obviously because there's no muscle or tissue covering this. So what you could do is, let me turn this around, and feel free to do this when you're drawing. You can turn the canvas, or like if you were doing this traditionally, turn the paper so you don't want to put too much strain on your wrist or your hand for that matter. So for this next part, I'm thinking I should do like a time lapse to show y'all just the rough sketch. We'll switch to the time lapse part right now. So this is what the rough sketch is what I ended up finishing doing, and what I did was for the teeth, you can pretty much see it as just small little triangular shapes that I chose to illustrate the teeth, and for the eyes or the eye, it's somewhat of a misshaped square, and then I just drew a line in here to show the depth of the skull. So with that being said, maybe make this a little bit bigger, center it on the page. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn down the opacity to about 50. Let's get started. So I'm going to choose my vector brush, and I've turned it down to about 6. Let's start with the teeth. This part is the fun part. You can start with the giving the texture of the teeth at this point itself, but what I like to do in this step is go over the entire piece with just this one line weight, and then after I'm done with this, then I decide on which parts are going to be with the thicker line weight and which parts are going to stay with thinner line weight. So there's one tooth. Now this one kind of overlaps, so this one is going to overlap, so we'll start with that, and you'll just kind of see a half part of the tooth. And then we'll do the other tooth over here, and I'm going to keep a little bit of gap. This skull, obviously you can tell by looking at it, is not, by no way is it realistic, but we're not going for realistic on this channel. We're going for fantasy and just making it fun to draw skulls and skeletons and all the other fun stuff that comes along with drawing drawing skulls and skeletons. I think I may have said skulls and skeletons way too many times at this point. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and do this exact same line art in the different aspects of the skull. Again, I'll switch to the time lapse so that y'all can see what is going on, and then I'll explain to you what it is that I've done. I know this is my first time kind of attempting a tutorial, or almost like a step-by-step video. I don't know if this would be really categorized as a step-by-step, but I'm trying. So hopefully y'all will understand how I got to the final piece at the very end. So let me go ahead and do that right now, and then I will walk y'all through as to what is it I did before we go to the next step. So this is what I ended up doing with the line art, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the detail part of it, which is what I told you earlier, which will be some of this will be thicker line art, and then some of it will be just details to get the skull to have not that like a flat kind of a look as it has now, so to make it look like it has like some sort of a 3D look, and that obviously will start with the detailing, and then slowly I'll add the flat colors and then the shading, which will be in a few minutes obviously. So let's begin with this. So for the gum line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it seem like there's some sort of gum tissue still there on this skull, and I'm going to go ahead and fill these colors in with the tissue looking stuff with the black ink, not black, sorry, darker shade of brown. There is another artist that I follow on Instagram, but there's this guy called I always say I'm going to tell you guys these people's name or these artists' name, and then it just kind of falls out of my head as to what the guy's name was. I know he sells his art on a platform called Big Cartel, and his skulls are also the exaggerated kind of like more fantasy looking skulls. Hold on, since it's on my mind and I can't seem to get it off, let me show it to y'all real quick. So let me go to Pinterest, my wonderful go-to place, and let me select this. I think the guy's name is Dave. No, it's not Dave. There we go. This is the guy. He goes by, I don't know what's his exact name, but you see how the look of the skull, how nice and it's got that nice graphic look to it. It's got the nice thick line art. That's one. This is the first one I ever found of his online, and I really loved how he used the different shades of blue, or more like a turquoise color. So let's see if we can get this look in the skull that we're doing today. So let's get back to what we were doing and finish up with the details, and when we're done with that, we will resume the coloring. Go ahead and finish all that. Okay, so this is the final piece I ended up doing with the line art, and I tried my best to keep myself from detailing it out as much as possible, but I always get carried away. I do one line here and then I feel like this one needs more lines, and then it's just an endless cycle. So I figured I better stop now before I just end up doing line work and detailing this whole thing out and not getting to the next phase. Anyway, I've gone ahead and selected these colors ahead of time, and this is what I'm going to be using for the skull, using these for the teeth, and then this will be for the little twine work that shows up in there. So let's go ahead and turn the reference layer on, and let's begin with coloring the skull. This part's just going to be dropping colors like I have done in the past videos. So I'm just going to show you all how I do the drop colors, and then when I get to the shading part is when I'll slow it back down to show you all what it looks like. So let's go ahead and start with the dropping colors as of now. So the dropping colors went by pretty quick. Man, I wish I could draw color that quickly. But anyway, well, let's start by making another layer. I'm gonna do the clipping mask, and for this I'm gonna use my selection tool and then select the darker shade of this color over here. Let's try that again, and let's start from the bottom this time, and I'm gonna pretend like the light's coming from the top end, so hopefully I'll get this right. I mean, this shading is something even I struggle with, and I'm constantly looking to get better at it. So hopefully with these videos, what I show you guys, I mean, I'll continue to improve and be able to show you all what I learned, so in that way y'all can do the exact same thing. So when I do the start with the selection tool, I just make this random wavy line, and y'all can really do pretty much anything y'all want with when it comes to this point. It doesn't have to be exactly what I do, and y'all can experiment with that and see how it goes. So that's what this color looks like. And then what I do is I go ahead with the pen tool or the vector brush, and then I go and change it up if I want to improve on anything. And what I'm going to do is now is just gonna continue using the selection brush, or the selection tool I mean. And this part pretty much is just trial and seeing what looks nice and then editing it as I go along. So if the shadow that's coming out is not looking the way I want it to, like now for example, you see how the shadow kind of only stops here. Now if I want, I can go in with the color or the vector brush and just bring it all the way until here, and then fill it all in over here. And that's pretty much it with the shading, I mean, and then it's all about doing the lights and shadows, so the skull actually pops out at the very end. Actually, you know what, before I do that, let me go ahead and show you how I would get the darker shade over here. So what I'll do is I'll select that, come back here, use the selection tool again, and then, as I said, just make lines or wavy lines. And the reason why, if you've not heard me in my other videos, the reason why I went with the selection tool right outside this is because the clipping mask is on, so when we drop the color, all it is going to show up on this layer right over here, nothing outside. That's it. So let me go ahead and finish this up, and then I will show you the final reveal. Alrighty people, this is the final reveal. If you're following along, I finished off by doing the shading, and I tried a whole lot of different things when I did the shading. I used the selection tool in multiple of these areas where you see these intricate details, and for things like that I made the selection, filled in the color, and then used the eraser to kind of make these little spots. And pretty much what that is just taking away color or erasing the color that was there. The other things that I did different was, I'm trying to think, Oh yeah, I just gave these little spots so it adds the element of texture to the skull. And the thing that I did different this time was when I drew these roots, I kind of drew these small little roots kind of coming out of it. I think that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I mean, I put in my best to make sure it was kind of like a step-by-step video. So let me know in the comments what y'all thought about it, and if this is something that was helpful, or is it something that y'all want to see a little bit different. Because I think if I were to go to make an actual step-by-step tutorial where it was not with the the time lapse, I personally think I would have to do something way more simple. And I just think that doing something way more simple is, for some reason, I just cannot wrap my brain around doing something simple. I mean, I start by doing something simple and then I get carried away and I just keep on going and going with the adding the details. So what I want to do next, or the coming video, I want to focus on the things that I did want to put out for you guys, which I showed you all in the previous ones. And the other thing what I was also going to show y'all is the architectural videos and doing something a little bit different. I mean, it's still going to be skeleton and skull based. Here, actually, as a sneak peek, let me show y'all what I was working on. So let me open Procreate, and this is something I've been working on in the background. So as I said, it's going to be a skeleton holding a building, and I'm kind of eager to show y'all how this turns out in the aspect of shading and drawing and adding the details to the doors and the other things. This is not going to be a tutorial video. It's going to be more like kind of like watch me draw along, and maybe I'll do like a quick voiceover as to what my thought process was when I was doing this. And hopefully y'all just enjoy seeing the art come to life and turning a basic sketch or a sketch like this into a full rendered piece. That's going to be coming down the line. I'm not sure when I'll be putting this out, but I just wanted to show you all a sneak peek. With that being said, I will go ahead and sign off by saying keep creating, keep drawing. I'll see you all down the road or on the other side. Bye for now. Peace.